So what are some things to keep you out of trouble? So this is what you do. You got to keep your clients informed. You got to document and inform the process. Use emails to confirm verbal conversations. You got to save all your emails and voicemails. It's actually the requirement of the state. That will save you. It will also have a clear understanding of what happened. Use Google Voice, Gmail, Google Docs to keep all your information. Save everything, even in the incomplete transactions. We have a process for that. Just save the incomplete transactions. Avoid dual agency. I know we do a lot on dual agency and how this works. Just avoid dual agency in certain circumstances unless both parties truly understand it. Don't manage properties as a favor. You want to end up in trouble managing properties for someone as a favor. There's huge liability. And then there's some pretty serious liability of managing your own properties. We go into that in deeper things. Otherwise, use some language. We talked about to avoid issues with a counteroffer acceptance. Use this language right in your texts and emails that this is not deemed a counteroffer acceptance until documents are mutually executed between the parties, right? Add that document. Go through the stuff we have this for you. Wire fraud. Adding this to your email and text signature, explaining how wire fraud is a real issue. Do it. You can never over disclose those things. Just don't process a transaction, review it first. I think that's probably
yes. Yeah, that's really important.
Did you fill all the blanks? Is this what they wanted on this particular house? Watch initials and watch the initials, make sure they're done. Have them dated when you add them. Fill in or strike through every blank. Don't leave blanks in contracts. Attorneys don't like that. The state doesn't like that. I don't like that either, does Dennis. Just strike through them, put not applicable. Use the stacking order sheets as we talked about. Work within your area of expertise. I always said I'm an expert at referring experts. They have a question about septic tanks. I got a guy. They got something for foundations. You got to have a guy, right? Net sheet for the seller. They should be signed, acknowledged. Under promise and over deliver. That's you really setting those expectations, because then it will influence the rest of the transaction. But you didn't do this, this, and this. This is what can go wrong. It's done. Everything's great. No, there are things.
Don't get your party hat on with them. Yeah. Okay. Say yippee skippy, count your money. You're good to go for the closing. I don't want you to do that, and I don't want you to tell your sellers to do that. When you're done with the transaction, you say, this is the beginning. This is the end of the beginning. Okay. And about 75-80% of the time we get to the closing table, but in the interest of full disclosure, here's what can go wrong. And tell them in plain English. We might get a bad inspection. We might get a bad appraisal. They might get cold feet. Have a little hit list of things that you can tell them to make sure, keep the room temperature low, okay? And tell them, don't start to pack yet, okay?
That's the key.
That's the key, This is the beginning of a process, and we hope we can get there. But don't count on this right now, okay? That's very, very important. And then the other thing I would suggest to you, if you want to stay out of trouble, is when you get home, while you're counting your money, okay, take an extra 10 or 15 minutes and review that contract carefully, review the expectations. You might even give them a call and say, I'm so excited to get the process started for you, okay? And by the way, do you have any questions or concerns?
Yeah, I'll tell you. The other thing is, get rid of nuts. We do a whole 2 hours on it. But sell enough houses so you can get rid of the nuts.
Yeah.
Especially, we do 2 hours on it for a reason. Signatures on the listing. Make sure all the signatures are there. We have pros where, the wife's going to sign next week when she gets back in town. Or, guys, all signatures on the listing. We've had things, we're not going to share the horror stories, but if they're in ownership, you have to do it. Check on the ownership. We need the signatures. Double check with the title company. They will gladly figure it out for you. Talk to the other agents, clients. Guys, you cannot do it. Acting as an attorney. These are the things that have gotten agents in huge trouble. Appraisals, flood zone, well and septic, pest inspection, radon, surveys. Every one of these are addressed in the buyer's advisory.
Yeah.
These are all potential.
These are minefields, guys. These are minefields. Okay?
And they're covered in there why they're important right in that buyer's advisory. The other thing to stay out of trouble, unaccompanied showings, showing without appointments. use the addendum for special circumstances, will protect you. No return calls. If you really actually want to have trouble with buyers and sellers,
Don't call them back.
Don't call them back.
Yeah.
That
Especially if they're mad about something. Call them now, okay? And try to keep that everything on an even keel.
and if you don't know what to say, get your manager involved.
Yeah.
Right? Final walkthroughs, subcontractors require, make sure they're done. Explain the disadvantages of not having one. Don't do final walkthroughs for people, then you take liability on. Inspection dates, just make sure and put them in a calendar. Don't miss them. Don't go over them. Or now all of a sudden they can't do it.